On Friday the 29th of December, I woke up very early so I could walk the dogs before setting off to Wales. I didn't film very much this day as it was mainly travelling and arriving, although I did get some footage of the lovely rural house we stayed in. As we arrived, stormy weather was picking up and there were amber weather warnings for the tail end of Storm Gerrit and the start of another storm. Saturday was a very blustery rainy day, and other than a trip to the shops and the beach, we mainly stayed at the house. On Sunday afternoon, we took a trip away from where we were staying for a meal. The weather was so stormy Sunday night that New Year's firework displays were cancelled. On Monday morning, however, the storm had subsided, and this was the first day the weather wasn't terrible and I could get out to look for wildlife. I did have some shots of the location itself, but because I saw an otter here, I've removed those to protect the location. I arrived, and within maybe 10 minutes, I saw the telltale trail of bubbles and an otter popped up. As you can see, the river was very cloudy and muddy due to the stormy weather. The otter was moving quite fast and only stayed around for a couple of minutes, and I know the footage isn't great, but seeing it was quite an emotional moment for me, as I've spent hours and hours searching for otters in the wild, walking up and down rivers and sitting in hides, and until this moment I have only seen one otter in the wild for all of a minute when it popped up next to me in a river. Seeing this otter not long after I arrived at the river was a wonderful experience. Little did I know what the rest of my time in Wales had in store. On Tuesday, the weather was so bad with torrential rain that I didn't film anything at all. On Wednesday morning, I was out again, back at the spot, hoping to see the otter again. The river had flooded considerably since Monday, and a lot of the path was ankle deep or higher in water. Even though I was there at a different time, again, the otter came along not long after I had arrived. I'd taken my dad with me, so I was really pleased that he got to see the otter too. Later that day, we went out to a beach, and here is a bit of footage from my phone of the beach trip. In the morning, I got up early and headed back to the river. I arrived earlier than before and I wore my wellies so that I could walk the flooded pathway and explore further. I waited around the area for a good couple of hours, but there was no sign of the otter or any other wildlife. I decided to move further down the river in the hopes of seeing something. Not long after arriving at a different point along the river, I saw a disturbance in the water and thought, no way is this an otter again, but it was. For such a rarely sighted and elusive animal, it was incredible that I saw an otter each of the 3 times I visited the river. This time the otter stayed around for quite a while. At first, she was mainly swimming around, diving and eating small fish. When an otter swims underwater, you can see air bubbles appearing on the surface. When the bubbles zigzag across the water and suddenly shoot across a long distance in only a second, you get a sense of just how fast otters can swim. As the day went on, she began hunting more seriously and carrying larger prey such as eel off down the river, disappearing for a while and then returning for more. I had my suspicions she may be feeding cubs, and later on in the day had a wonderful surprise. The cubs were quite large and old enough to be swimming, diving and hunting for their own food, but they were also still calling for their mother to feed them. She will protect them until they're about a year old, when they will leave to make their own homes. After all of the flooding, I was pleased to see that the mother and cubs were fine. I spent most of the day observing the otters. They're an extraordinary creation and I felt very blessed to spend so much time with them. I hope you enjoyed sharing this adventure with me, and I will see you in the next video.